Hey guys, it's Belle, and in this video I am going to be reading through a little fragment, or rather the first fragment that we have of the Old Saxon Genesis poem. So I'm going to have more videos that go into this fully and which talk about the comparisons with the Old English Genesis, because that's really interesting, and I believe the latest academic research suggests that this poem that we have here is actually the original on which the Old English Genesis poem is a translation thereof. But yes, we're going to read through this Old Saxon, we're going to translate it and discuss it as part of a series of videos I intend to do on this channel, where hopefully by the end of my PhD studies I will have covered literally every single text in the Old Saxon language. So an ambitious project, but hopefully we can get through it. And forgive me as usual if my pronunciation, particularly of the Old Saxon, is not that good, because yeah, I'm just not that great at pronouncing this just yet, so I will read it from start to finish and then we will go through and break it down word for word. So, Weila thot thu nu eva havas, quath Adam, uvilogi marcot un carosel varosid, nu macht thu sehan, thias wardhon hel yinon grodaga, nu thu sia griman macht hinana jehorean, nis hevanriki jelik suli cardolognon. Fit was allra landos sconius, that wit hierthroch unkart herran thank hevian mostun. Thar thu them ni hurðis, the unk thessan hardam jereed, that wit waldandas wore var brakun, hevan kuningas. Nu wit revi mugun sorgon for them sita, Juan he unk selvo jebod, that wit unk swilik witti wardan skoldin, hardamo mestan. Nu thwinget mi ju hungaren i thurðs bitter balowerek, þegar waran wit beðrðó tuom. Hú skulun wit nu livian, eftir hú skulun wit an þessum léachta wessan, nu hér hvillum wind kumit westan eftir ostan, sudan eftir norðan. Ég sverek upp drifit, kumit hagla skíon himle betengi, ferð forðan ég mang, that is fyrirnum kalð. Hvillum þannig van himile het og skinnit, blikket þjú berachta sunna, wit hér þú sparra standard, unweret mit jewaði. Nis unk hér wicht beforðan ní til skadova ní til skurða, unk nis hér skattas wicht til meti je markot, wit heviat unk je duan maktigna god, waldant urreidan. Te hví skulum wit werðan nu mag mi that hrewan that ik is so bat heaven rikian got waldand. So, here we go. It's a very dramatic poem, and this is called Genesis, and it is, of course, based on the actions in the Genesis book of the Bible, but it is a poetic rendition thereof, so there's a good deal of poetic license, and we can see in this some of the worldview of the medieval Saxon people reflected in how they reinterpret the Bible story. So that's one of the reasons why it's so interesting to go through it. So let's start with the first line. Weila thu nu eva havas quav Adam. Indeed, Weila thought thu nu eva havas, that you now, O Eve, have, quad Adam, said Adam, uvilo ye marakot unkarosel brosith, evilly made, you have evilly made unkarosel brosith, our own departure, our own journey. This is the journey into the world, because this is after the fall. This is after Eve has eaten from the tree of knowledge. Nu macht thu sechan thias wartan hel yinon grodaga. Now you may see thias wartan hel, the dark hell, yinon gradaga, the yawning yinon and gradaga, the greedy one. So it's the greedy, black, dark hell. And this is, of course, a reference to the fact that now that humans are aware of the knowledge of good and evil, they can perceive the potential hellish fate that might await them. Nu thu sia greman macht hinana Jehorean. Now you may hear Jehorean sia greman, those grim ones, those fierce ones, hinana, from here. So they are in the Garden of Eden still, but they can both hear these demons all the way from there, because they are now aware of the knowledge of good and evil. Nes hevan riki yalik sulikaralognun. The heaven kingdom is not alike sulikaralognun to such torments, basically, to such fire. Fit was Alaralando Sconius. That was Sconius, the most beautiful Alaralando of all lands. That wit hier durch unkres herranthank hevian morsten. That land which, wit, us two, here, durch unkres herranthank, through the thanks or through the grace of our Lord, unkres herran, hevian morsten, we were able to have. Thar thu femni hordis, because you, or where you, fem, to that man, ni hordis. So you were not listening to that man, you did not listen to that man. Thea unk thetan haram giried, that man who prepared giried thetan haram, this harm, unk, for us. Now this is a rather interesting line, isn't it? It's almost as if this poem is blaming God explicitly for the suffering rather than treating the suffering as some function of natural law or purely the work of the devil. It's God himself who has created harm for Adam and Eve on this basis. Fatwit waldandas word for brakun, because we, us two, waldandas word, the ruler's word, for brakun, we broke the ruler's word. Heaven kuningas, the word of the heaven king. Nu wit hriwi mugon sorogon. Now we, the miserable ones, hriwi, mugon sorogon. We may grieve sorogon, or we may sorrow for them sida on account of that journey, or for that journey. Juan he unk selvo yebod, when he bade to us, he unk selvo yebod, he bade to us himself, that wit unk sulik witi wardran scoldin, that we too would have to endure such a torment, sulik witi unk, for ourselves. Haramon Mestan, the greatest of harms. Again, this is God literally dealing out punishment for them. Nu thwingit me you hunger and thirst, bitter balu warek. Now hunger and thirst trouble me or afflict me. Bitter balo werek, the bitter bale work, which is such a cool line. And by the way, this kind of sentiment that now hunger and thirst afflict Adam, because you might be thinking that, Adam and Eve were meant to have dominion over the animals of the Garden of Eden beforehand, and perhaps even they were intended to eat of the animals in the Garden of Eden, but texts such as the Liber de Ordine Creaturarum, which is a early Irish astronomical text, actually these kinds of texts argued that while they were in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were actually immune to a lot of the physical ailments which trouble humans in the present day, so they didn't get hungry, they didn't get thirsty, they couldn't be burned by fire, they couldn't be pierced with thorns. So now that they have learned knowledge of good and evil, now that they have been corrupted, they have eaten from the tree, now Adam can experience hunger and thirst, the bitter bale work, bitter balo werek. Thesero wardan wit bedero tuom. Of these which we too we were free of, basically, we were free of these things previously. So this text seems to be agreeing with these early medieval astronomical treatises such as Liber de Ordine Creaturarum. Hu skulun wit nu livian, how should we now live? If the hu skulun wit an thesum liachta wesan, or how could we, wesan, in this case it could mean to be, but it probably means remain. How could we remain an thesum liachta, in this light? Nu hier huilum wind kumit westan efter ostan, sudan efter northern. Now here the wind sometimes comes west or east, westwards or eastwards, from the south or from the north. So this is them lamenting at the fact that they have to remain on earth now. Yisuerek up drivit. The black cloud Yisuerek rises up, Kumit hagla skion himle bitengi. The, I guess, cloud of hail, bitengi himle, touching the sky. It arrives. Ferith vardan yamang. It bears forth in a gathering that is fyrinum cult, that is cold for men. So they're saying that on earth there is all this hail that's afflicting them. Huilum vane van himele heto skinit. Sometimes then the heat shines from heaven. Blikket thiu berachta sunna. The bright sun shines. Wit hierthus barda standard. We thus stand here barra naked, unwedded midyawadi, unprotected, unwedded midyawadi, with clothing. Nis unk here the wicht beforan, nite skadova, nite skora. There is nothing here before us, nite skadova, nite skora, neither for shadow nor to shade. Unk nis here skatas wicht. There is not here for us wicht skatas, anything of money, anything of coins, to meti a markot, marked out for food. So there is no money here with which they can buy food, which is a rather interesting way of phrasing it, and perhaps betrays the sort of fact that this is the beginning of a market economy in the old Saxon period, and the poet is envisioning the way that one might buy food is to go and get it at a market, and one would pay for that with scuts, with coins. But of course, in the Garden of Eden, there's not the coins don't exist, let alone the coins being able to purchase anything. Wit heviat unk yeduan machtig na God. We have made the mighty God, machtig na God, unk, towards ourselves, waldan urredan. We have made God angry against ourselves, against us now. To hui skulum wit werdan nu. What shall we turn into now? Because remember, after, say, the fall of Lucifer and his angels, they were transformed in, certainly in a lot of Old English poetry, into these demon-like creatures. So Adam and Eve are here worried about what they may transform into now that they have been exiled from the Garden of Eden. Nu mag mi that revon. Now I may lament that ik is your bad, but heaven rikean got waldond. That I asked him, heaven rikean God, the heaven ruling God, and then the fragment cuts out and we don't know what Adam is going to say next. Although one could, I suppose, look at the Old English poem for some hint at that, because the Old English poem matches quite closely to the Old Saxon poem, and I'll be doing a video comparing these two later on. So that is the first Old Saxon video that I've done here on my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want me to do more videos on Old Saxon, please do let me know, and I will attempt to oblige. I am intending to do all of the Old Saxon texts on my channel at some point, so that will come. If you want me to teach you Latin or Old English, I'm not going to teach Old Saxon because I don't feel qualified to teach that, but Latin or Old English or Gothic, then you can feel free to subscribe to my Patreon, which will be linked in the description of this video. You can also join my Discord server, where we have a fun community of like-minded people. I often share these tidbits in my server before I make them into videos, so you'll get early access that way. And until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye everyone!